So, Sonic 3 is now out on digital. I think it's the right time to talk about it in a spoiler review now. I was going to make a spoiler review a lot sooner, but then I decided not to, just to let it release digitally so people can see it. So, now that it's out, we will talk about the spoiler review. So, I really enjoyed this movie for the fact that it was so close to Sonic Adventure 2 with its own movie twist in their universe. Like, we had stuff with Maria, we had the Bio Lizard, everything with the Eclipse Cannon. This review is going to be a bit out of order, so just take it how you will, but I will say one thing. This was as close to Sonic Adventure 2 live action that we got to see. I mean, with the opening, when Shadow's asleep, we hear Maria play the guitar to Live and Learn, which I found was like a nice touch towards it. Of course, it plays a lot more in the movie Live and Learn, which I'm finally glad that they're using game music now for these movies and not just pop culture music. Yeah, with the prison island, Shadow's escape was amazing. I like how it was near Tokyo as well, because then Shadow goes there and he realizes that he's been like trapped for 50 years, which was Keanu as Shadow was a different take to how he's portrayed in the games. He was a lot more open. Shadow causes a scene in Tokyo which causes Sonic's Earth Day, because it's like his first day he came to Earth. That felt very, very close to Sonic Generations and Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is kind of cool because we got that game remastered recently. Obviously, Commander Rockwell comes to ask Team Sonic for assistance. She was the only character I didn't feel much for on screen. And I like Kristen Ritter. But when you see her character and the one Rouge hangs out with in Sonic X, I think it's the same woman, Commander Rockwell. You know what I'm trying to say? It was a bit empty not seeing Rouge with her, or her dialogue and scenes weren't as powerful as some of the scenes try and make it out to be. So when Sonic and Knuckles and Tails go to Tokyo, we have the iconic "No food or movies, I'm out of here" line, which I'm so glad they do, because it's a reference to Sonic Adventure 2. It's a direct quote. Shadow versus Sonic, trying to chase him on his motorbike with a gun. That was an amazing shot. And when he chaos controls on the motorbike and Sonic's like, "I'm gonna throw up," that was a great scene. Because we had that area Sonic was at, I think that was the same place or the same level that's in Shadow Generations with the movie DLC. The Chow Garden was a great way of bringing it into the universe as like a Tokyo like cat cafe kind of style. So it was very, very nice to look at. Commander Walters arrives and talks about Shadow's origins. It was very Superman-like how he came into a meteor. I'm hoping they do some Black Arm stuff with Shadow in his own spin-off series or movie, because it'll be really interesting to see where Shadow's from and like the meteorite and everything. It'll be funny if Black Doom comes down on the meteorite, you know what I mean? So we have the egg drones attack, and we have Agent Stone stop the attack from happening, which was nice to see Agent Stone get his own like solo badass action in this one, because the last movie he was really downgraded to like a coffee barista. So seeing him on a motorbike and stopping the drone attack was really great. Funny thing, there's a deleted scene that I saw on Instagram about Agent Stone saving Dr. Eggman from the second movie I don't know why they didn't keep that in, but that was like a really good explanation of how Eggman's still alive. They don't really explain how he's still alive after the second movie's events. Then we go to the abandoned gun military base, which was great. And we have the flashbacks of Maria. They were great. They were very heartwarming for Shadow's backstory, for audiences who don't know who Shadow is, to see what he was like 50 years ago before everything went south, because obviously in the games it's a lot darker. And in this one, because it's a kid-friendly movie, they've done a few different attempts of making it different, changing some things up. Like Maria's not poorly, they're on Earth. You kind of see what I'm getting at. There's a few changes, but I like the changes a little bit more. Now, I know what you're going to say, but there was just some things about it that felt a lot more that we got a connection between the two than we have in the games, because obviously Maria's death is a really big part of the games for Shadow. But especially the scene where they're looking at the stars together, that felt more emotional, seeing them two together looking at the stars on the grass, than just Shadow being tested for a cure as the ultimate life form. And they did a thing with that in Sonic X Shadow Generations. They kind of did a thing with that in Sonic X Shadow Generations with the series they did, the little mini-series with Shadow's in this rocket and he's seeing visions of Maria on Earth. That was emotional. So I'm glad they did some emotional things despite the fact that she's not poorly and she's on Earth and she's only just Gerald Robotnik's granddaughter. Then we had the reveal of Sonic seeing two Dr. Eggmans. That was a badass scene. Obviously Shadow with the black hole. That was great. Cutting a little bit ahead to the London heist. So we have the characters in London, and that was great. Like, they do the plan early on, and we see Sonic die quite a few times because obviously Gun's got high defenses, and Sonic's like, can't we get Tom Cruise to do it? And Tails like, not even Tom Cruise can find his way out of this one. That was cool. Also, the Robotnik dance trying to get through the lasers was a pretty fun scene too. So when Gerald and Eggman get the keys and Shadow punches Tom thinking that he is Commander Walters, that scene was a really good scene to flash between the Shadow and Maria to Tom and Sonic. That was a good shot. I was really happy they did something like that, because obviously Shadow feels a little bit regretful with what he did with his actions, which we kind of see later on when he asks if Maria really would want this. Obviously when the Eclipse Cannon goes up in the air, Sonic steals the Master Emerald from Wade. This is the scene I really didn't like in the movie, was the fact that Wade had the Master Emerald. I get Knuckles' TV show, he was working with Knuckles, training him to be a warrior, but I didn't see him be worthy enough to look after the Master Emerald. I would have preferred it if it was in a safe spot that only Knuckles knew about, rather than, oh, here Wade, have the Master Emerald, I trust you now. Even because Knuckles' TV show was a bowling tournament. How can you go from the bowling tournament to guarding the Master Emerald? It's kind of a weird one. But anyway, Sonic steals the Master Emerald, becomes Super Sonic, and then we see the flashback of Maria's death. Obviously, they're not going to show a child's death in a PG movie. So seeing that they shoot the canister with Shadow's Chaos Energy blowing up, I was fine with that. It didn't really take me out of the interest of seeing Maria's death on screen. It was just a different take. I think what really got me in that scene, more than Shadow being upset about Maria's death, was Walters was trying to stop them from attacking Shadow and Gerald and Maria. Because you see him running over being like, hey, what are you doing? Those are children. So Maria's death was a really sad part in the movie, and I think that scene on its own was just, it was great. It was great because in the games it's just a gunshot from gun, no really remorse whatsoever. And obviously in Sonic X there's that one gun agent, the teacher interviews, who actually was a spy the whole time, and he just is upset because she was just a kid and he shot her. It was that kind of emotion we got from Walters, trying to stop the attack from happening. But it was too late, the gun fired and it hit the Chaos Energy. So Shadow runs around with the Chaos Energy, activating the Eclipse Cannon. That's when Gerald Robotnik reveals he's going to destroy the Earth, including the Eclipse Cannon, with a minute. And Eggman's like, no, we can't destroy the world. Together we could rule it. But Gerald Robotnik's adamant about this plan. And he just says to Eggman when he's like, I've got you now. We're family. And Gerald's like, oh, Ivo, you're no Maria. And he walks off. You can see that moment where Eggman feels fooled all this time that Agent Stone was right. And yeah, Super Sonic versus Super Shadow. That fight was the best action shot I've seen in a long time. Obviously, I like John Wick. I like the fights in movies. I like the action. This was a whole live action Dragon Ball Z style fight scene brought into a live action Sonic movie. It was crazy. We have Eggman versus Gerald. So Eggman becomes good, like he does in Sonic Adventure 2. And he does defeat Gerald. Shadow and Sonic talk on the moon after their fight, because Sonic realizes it's not who he is anymore. And they talk about Longclaw and Maria, which was really good. It was a really good scene. And when they finally team up and they put their hands together, Live and Learn plays and they both become super. That was such a really good shot. It was definitely my favourite scene, is when they're flying together, the Eclipse Cannon and all the robots are out. That was my favourite shot of the movie, when they're fighting the robots. And then we have the sacrifice of Shadow and Eggman. Eggman's live stream to Agent Stone was really sad. And Shadow, although he sacrificed himself, we get post-credit that he's still alive, which is good, because I don't think they're going to kill off him, because he's like one of the most popular characters in all of Sonic, besides Sonic, of course. Then we have the ending race, and that's the end of the movie. I really enjoyed it. It was the best out of the three, because it felt more connected to the games than it ever has before. First one was a road trip. The second one actually introduced Chaos Emeralds and Knuckles and Tails. This one is like a Sonic Adventure 2 brought into like a live action format with some changes. This movie was great. It was just absolutely everything I wanted as a Sonic fan. So we have the post-credit. I've already talked about the Shadow one, so we'll talk about the really important one. And that's the Metal Sonic and Amy Rose. Amy's in the Sonic universe now. This is great. I don't know how she's going to be portrayed. I'm really curious. I would love it if she was also like not friends with Longclaw, because obviously Sonic doesn't know who she is, who Amy is, but another like owl kind of being looked after Amy, and that would be cool. But we'll have to see. She is wearing a cloak, so we'll have to wait and see with Amy. Metal Sonic and the army of Metal Sonics, that was crazy, because we all thought Eggman was going to build Metal Sonic, so it kind of brings me to the question of who is going to build Metal Sonic. This is a theory. You might not like this theory. I would love it to be Agent Stone. I would love it if Agent Stone went from a henchman to being his own villain after the death of Eggman and he builds Metal Sonic. I want Agent Stone to build Metal Sonic. You might think that's crazy, but Agent Stone has been a henchman for Eggman for a long time. And obviously with Eggman being dead, and I know Jim Carrey says he wants to be Eggman again, or he's open to be Eggman again in the fourth one. I think it should be Agent Stone who builds Metal Sonic. We had a concept art of like this futuristic looking Eggman with Metal Sonic. I don't like that. I don't know why. Probably because I want Eggman's death to be a bit more powerful. I wouldn't feel the same way about Eggman if he comes back in a movie. It'll be cool if Shadow did save him, believe me. But it wouldn't be as meaningful of his sacrifice if he comes back. So that's why I think Agent Stone should build Metal Sonic. But other than that, I would like to know what you think of the Sonic Movie 3. Now it's out on digital. I'm curious to know what you guys think. So I'd like to thank you all very much for watching this review, and I will see you later, and bye-bye.